A day late, but not a dollar short. This is the three. That guy right there is Johnny Christ. No relation. World's greatest guitarist, supermodel, wrestling fan, golf aficionado, a drinker. What else? What are you not, Johnny Christ? What are you not?
Well, first of all, Dennis, I'm not a fucking guitar player. I'm a bass player. All right. Get it fucking straight next time. And what I am is a goddamn wrestling fan. Let's get to our three favorite moments of the week.
That's right. Listen, and this is going to be kind of crazy because we are actually recording before the AEW show. So whatever happens tonight will be on next week's show, unfortunately.
If it makes the top three. No. Don't give it away like as if everything we pick from is going to be AEW all the time. We're wrestling fans, all right? We watch everything.
And you know what? I don't know if I have an AEW moment that'll make my top three this week.
Oh, I got one.
All right. Well, then you start out with your number three moment.
My number three moment of this week was the bachelorette party on Raw. I loved everything about it, from the actual ridiculousness to having male guys dancing around. And then, of course, R-Truth forgetting how to say the officiant at a wedding and just said the wedding guy. And I was like, yes, Raw Truth. That is why I love you.
I was at that Raw. I know
you were.
And it was great because that might have been the first Raw I've been to in many, many years. I think the last Raw I was at was the build-up for the WrestleMania where John Cena was trying to fight The Undertaker, but The Undertaker wasn't responding. I don't remember what WrestleMania. And I was at one of those Raws a few weeks before the WrestleMania, and that was the last time I've been to. I might have been to one WWE house show in between. So this was my first event, and I loved it. And I tell you what, the last month WWE has been hitting home runs.
Yeah,
the product has gotten so much better. I'm falling back into liking to watch it. And I think we said it on this podcast a few weeks ago. When WWE does it right, there's nobody better. I love AEW, but there's nobody better than WWE when they do it right.
When they get it right, when they're firing on all cylinders. And it was last week when we were talking about WrestleMania, and we just, hats off to everybody involved in putting that together. And to your point, the last 2 weeks after WrestleMania. I mean, I didn't watch Raw leading up to it, so maybe even that one was good too. But to me, that was, as we said last week, the ultimate flex of just saying, let's stop all the chirping about everybody else out there. As much as I love AEW, I think the other thing that I wanted to point out, Dennis, now that I'm thinking about it, is that a wrestling fan can be more complex. I think that we've been pigeonholed into this stereotype that we love all wrestling and it has to be all this different way. It's like saying if you listen to music, you listen to every genre. Maybe you listen to some a little bit more and you like a little bit more, a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, I think, WWE has a product that cannot be touched in what it does. It just can't be. It proved it through the 90s. It's proven it again and again and again. AEW caters to a different wrestling audience, I think. And I think some of those lines get blurred or overlapped rather. But for the most part, I think, as a wrestling fan going into watching an AEW Dynamite versus a WWE Raw, the difference of styles and difference of storylines and difference of things that you're going to get. I personally love both, but I think there's a lot of people out there that probably want one or the other,
Well, my number three moment was the Dominic Mysterio Fair Maha match, only because, and it wasn't even the match, but look, it's no secret. My best friend, Petey Williams, is now a producer in WWE.
And he had a cameo in that.
He had a cameo.
Yeah.
And that's my number three moment, being able to watch my buddy who has been, respected in the wrestling industry, but probably not ever quite attaining his full potential, now showing up in WWE, being on television, maybe not wrestling, but even just showing up in wrestling and hearing some of the stories about how everybody loves him backstage. It's an amazing moment. He's finally getting his comeuppance, and to see him run out and just be on WWE TV was my number 3 moment of the week.
Yeah, I love that you're doing a little homerism for your buddy there. Yeah, I like Petey too. When I was on your Wrestling Perspective podcast, we had fun with him.
And remind me to tell you on the off the air, he said something nice about you.
Oh, yes. About me?
About you.
Well, imagine that. Let's get to number 2.
All right. I'll start out in kind of the similar fashion. And I feel like this may be a very quick episode if we're already on the number 2. I was watching my number 2 moment, another Homer moment. And I will kind of, because I know you didn't see it, and I'll give a broad, was the GCW Devil in a Dress pay-per-view, where Lars Fredrickson did commentary on most of the matches on that pay-per-view.
Oh, shit. I didn't see that. Now I got to go back and watch it.
Yes, it was on Fight TV. Go back and rewatch it. And by the way, that pay-per-view, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I have come to like GCW. I'm not much of a death match guy, and not every match there is death match. It has a very interesting indie feel to it. I grew up in the NWA. It kind of has an NWA gritty feel to it. And that appeals to me, but it took me time to kind of come along into that product, enjoy it. And listen, go search it out if you've not seen it. They're building stars like Joey Janela, who you would have seen on AEW, but has come back home to GCW. There's this, they have this 16-year-old kid named Nick Wayne. He was in the opening match of the pay-per-view. Phenomenal. He was wrestling Effie, who is one of my favorite guys. From top to bottom, this pay-per-view was fun. You don't even have to know the storylines or the guys to just sit back and appreciate it, because the more people watch this stuff, the more jobs that are out there for these wrestlers.
I love that. I love that you said that too. I know little bit of GCW. I know some of the guys that came through there that are now in AEW. You mentioned Joe Janela there. I know Orange Cassidy was there. John Moxley came back for a minute, like not too long ago. And my good friend Ron Funches, the comedian, the actor.
So jealous. Finally you say that, I hate you just a little bit more.
I mean, it's not like I got the guy on speed dial, but we're friends. And
that's the flex. Like, I don't have him on speed dial, but yes, I do.
No, he's a good dude, and I'm really happy for him that he was able to get in the ring. It was just a couple months ago, I think. He was able to get in the ring in GCW. And he's done some commentating before with Sean Waltman over there, I think. So props to Ron and our mutual friend Lars Fredrickson. I did not know that was going to happen this weekend. Otherwise, I would have been tuning in live. But I'm definitely going to go rewatch.
Here's the thing. I knew he was going to be at the show. He played what he was doing close to the vest. He didn't tell me. I was like, hey, you getting in the ring, or are you going to be doing
Lars plays everything close to the vest, doesn't he?
He does. And here's the thing. Like, every time Lars shows up somewhere, they're like, hey, will you go on screen? Hey, will you go do this? And he's like, nah, I just want to enjoy the show. And he's really one of those guys. So I can't imagine that this was set up in advance. I think in my mind, no confirmation. I won't talk to him until tomorrow, where I get to, poke at it. I think he showed up and they were like, please do this, man. This is going to be fun. I want you back on. And he kind of said, all right, because he brought his son to the show. And I think he wanted his son to see how cool he was.
the flex in front of the sun, something every father wants to do,
right?
Shit, man. So that's a great number 2. I didn't see that. So my number 2 is going to go back to Monday Night Raw, where you were live. Mine's kind of a 2-parter. I'm cheating. I'm going to be the heel on the show. I'm going to say my moments mean more. So I'm going to put these two together, because it's the moment when the Miz TV brought out Cody Rhodes, and then let's skip flash forward, including the match between the Miz and Cody Rhodes. I thought the storytelling between the two was really good. I think like the Miz being the heel that he is, and obnoxious that he was, really showcased Cody Rhodes' storyline for this whole I'm coming back to get the belt for my papa, and even corrected him and said it's not a belt. Belts hold up your pants. It's a title. Love you, Miz. That was a great line. And and then into the match, I honestly thought it might have been in certain respects a little bit better than the WrestleMania match with Cody. I thought Cody was a little bit more relaxed in this one. And I know that that's going to go against everybody on the internet right now who was just in love with his match with Seth Rollins, which I thought was a great match. I just thought it was a little stiff in moments. That's the only critique I have for it. Everyone chill the fuck out. I'm allowed to have my opinion. You fucking listen to it if you're here. If not, whatever, go talk about it on the internet. I won't see it. Anyways, the match and the psychology between it was great. Bringing in Seth Rollins at the end, having that face off there again, they're really building that up. They're going to have that rematch, which is great. I want to see them continue with the Miz as part of this storyline, though, because I think he's a really good match. After seeing what they did together on Monday Night Raw, I'd like to see what they do in a storyline. Maybe they get the Seth Rollins one going, but after that, I would like to see them revisit the Miz Cody Rhodes. I think that's a great storyline that they have there, and that they seem to work really well together.
The chemistry was phenomenal. The crowd was amazing. That was the pop of the night both times when Cody came out. To watch him give his belt to a kid who had a birthday sign was let me ask you this. And I spent the evening thinking about this, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it or figure out why. And I really was waiting for this show so you and I can talk about this. Was why is there such a discrepancy in how the AEW fans cheered and booed him and how the WWE fans are just popping like crazy for him? Because I thought the WWE underplayed this move where, and I know that they have a long history of not acknowledging other companies, but you have AEW who has built a roster basically from, I don't want to use the word leftovers, and I don't mean it, but basically discarded talent from WWE, rising them up, making them great. Some guys left on their own, some guys were let go, and finding a better place, way more happy. So I'm not one of those guys that, they're bringing in WWE talent, but this is the first real time WWE has taken somebody from AEW, and not just somebody, but AEVP, one of their big names, if not the biggest name, because the company was built around Cody. So I didn't understand the lack of rah-rah on WWE side. I know it was a surprise, but I thought they could have done a better job of, hey, you know what? When we want to take someone, we'll take them. But the crowds, I can't figure out why one company's crowd, it was a mixed reaction at best, and WWE is just off the charts.
I'm not going to pretend to know the mindset of every crowd, but I will say, if I had to guess, I would say that over in AEW, Cody was, he started it, everything was good, and everyone, I felt like I was waiting for his character to change. He'd been there for, coming up on 3 years, and the character had remained the same. I'm the good guy. Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. He never had the opportunity to turn heel, really. And I really wanted to see him do that. It's what I thought they might have done had he stayed in AEW, with the way the crowds in AEW were starting to turn on him anyway. I think it was more so just getting tired of the pretty boy aspect of him at some point, and the fact that he was behind the scenes and starting a reality show, which I watched and I loved.
Did you like it?
Brandy. I did. I thought it was interesting,
I didn't watch it. And I'm not going to knock it, but I didn't watch it, and I didn't really watch much of the Go Big or Go Home show. And I think
I only saw parts of that.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, as a guy who didn't watch them, but the constant commercials was, all right, this guy, I'm getting a little bit too much, Cody Rhodes overload here.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I think that's what the audience was feeling over in the AEW stuff. There was, although he never held the world title over there, he was certainly on every main card, everything that was going on. So I think, in all fairness, they were probably getting a little old a bit. I think he needed a rejuvenation had he stayed there. Now, when he's coming over to WWE, in a lot of fans' minds, They think this is a competition between AEW and WWE. I don't think it's a heads up competition. I think that there's good things about both companies. And so in their minds, they're like, if they're the homers for WWE, they just realize what they did. In their minds, WWE just stole him from AEW, and it's a win for WWE. I don't know that that's the case. I still don't know what happened behind the scenes, why he left in the first place, all those kind of things. We still don't really know. Maybe one day we'll find out exactly how it went and why it happened the way that it did. But as he said in a couple of interviews so far, and I don't know how candid he's been yet, it was just kind of his time, and he had an opportunity to go back to the place that he wanted, that he always was comfortable being in. And I think that's fair. That's fair for Cody to do. And I think that champions him as a babyface again. Like, you can't have him come back in and have that polarizing thing in WWE. It's just not going to work because, and this is all, of course, in my opinion, it's not going to work because the fans, the WWE fans, are going to look at it as a steal, as a victory for WWE. They've seen, to your point, they've seen in their minds AEW pull WWE talent and get these big rises at them. And guys like Malachi Black and stuff who everyone thought was coming out of the NXT and about to break out into Raw and SmackDown at any moment. And and then building him up and then getting some guys to come out of retirement, even that used to be all WWE. So in their minds, it looked like, oh no, what's happening? Oh, we're getting something back. So I think that's kind of what it is at this moment. And hopefully, to your point, they'll start to play into that. And maybe he can get into a heel character, because I think Cody could be a great heel character at some point. I don't know when, where, how it goes down. I'm not going to pretend to be the storyteller that they have over in WWE, because I think they have great storytellers and great, I guess they're called bookers, but we all know that that's directing and writing and everything. So it's really interesting to see where they're going to go with it. But the only thing that I think would have been cooler is if they tried a bit of an invasion angle. And I know you can't fully do an invasion angle, but in the sense that when the NWO started in WCW, they were returning to WCW. These were talents that had come up in WCW, went to WWE, and came back. Similar to Cody coming up in WWE, going to AEW, and then coming back. Now, again, he's not going to invade by himself, and they're not going to revisit that exact storyline. But in some way, he could have come back. I like the storyline with involving his dad. Don't get me wrong, Dusty Rhodes. I need to bring this title back to my family. Very cool. However, I'd like him maybe they could start working this into the story. Maybe they will. I'm not going to pretend to know, but they could also do like the anti-hero of, he's also pissed the way that he was treated. It's not an invasion angle. I guess I used that word a little wrong, but maybe he comes back with a little bit of a sharp edge to him as well. Like, not just straight, I'm just doing this for daddy. It's got to be, I'm doing this for daddy, and screw you guys for not giving me the opportunity before he passed away. Maybe when I was here and he was still alive, I could have given him the belt then.
I will say this, that I want to see that pissness come after he gets it, because I will bawl when he wins the championship.
Fair.
Knowing Cody Rhodes, and I've talked to him once or twice, nothing serious. I truly believe, outside of the $3 to $5 million he's making, and I think that was a major play in it, don't get me wrong, I think he was deep down a WWE guy. I think deep down he wanted to be the guy and wanted to be a champion in WWE. It didn't happen. He had to go somewhere else, grow his brand. He comes back with a legitimate shot to be that guy. And I think, and I truly believe, and listen, we both know wrestlers. Some guys honestly care about carrying belts. Some guys don't want to win championships and they just want to cash checks. That's just the reality of business. But I think deep down inside, and I truly believe that that's a reason Cody wants to be a champion in the biggest company, WWE, in a company where, you know what, they treated his dad well at times, but his dad, once again, didn't quite get to that level that he was everywhere else.
Right. And famously, they threw polka dots on him and pretended that was, but he rocked it. But Dusty made it cool, didn't he?
Yeah. And I think this is a redemption. I truly believe this is a redemption story.
And again, like I said, I think it's a great story. As a guy that likes a little bit more reality play in wrestling that I like, I want. And you're right. Maybe they'll just get to it, but like I just want a little bit more of an edge to it.
But here's the thing: I want that moment where listen. Are you a comic book guy?
I was when I was growing up as a kid, and then there was way too many comic books coming out and offshoots and everything. And
superhero movie guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yes, I did.
I cried like a baby at certain scenes, right? I'm going to admit it. There were scenes as a comic book nerd, like Aunt May dying. Oh my fucking God. I had tears. And then the 3 Spider-Man working together and seeing, I just, we all know the stories of why they're not Spider-Man anymore.
I choked up, but Christ never shows tears.
Well, that I will cry for both of us then.
Good.
But that's the moment I anticipate when Cody wins that belt. I legitimately believe he will cry like a baby. He cried. He almost choked up delivering that promo. Now, after he gets that belt, I want him to be an asshole. But leading up to getting that belt.
All right. He'll be your team Cody now. I'll be team Cody when he turns into an asshole. How about that?
And I'm okay with that, but I want that. I just want to be able to ball.
I'm still team Cody too. I do. But I agree with you though. That'd be cool. Yeah, no, that's a cool moment. You're right.
Let me ask you this:
if they give it to him,
and we'll get to number one really quickly here because I know one of us has a golf tee time and the other one's going to the bar and having a drink.
Oh, you're going to the bar to have a drink. I'm going outside in the sun, beautiful sunny Orange County. And I will be having a drink there on the golf course. Maybe, maybe even a few drinks. I don't know. And then I got this thing where I got to go play tennis. I mean, I got this real rough life today.
He lost me at tennis.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, sure. You're not from Orange County. You don't know the glories of being around this, just being outside, drinking outside, maybe getting some of that legal marijuana into my veins while I just
never smoked pot. I want to one day. Never smoked it.
Come on out to Cali, boy.
Can I stay with you?
No, you can't stay with. You can pull your van out in front, but
I'm flying. I'm not driving. Come on,
don't pretend like you're balling. You're not balling.
I am slightly balling. I am luggage class balling.
All right. You bring that in. I'll rent an RV for you to be outside, but the wife doesn't want you inside. Sorry.
I'm okay. I don't blame her, by the way. I'm unwashed and I'm slightly dirty at times. And I have to be, so
the Brooklyn Brawler. You're the Brooklyn Brawler of my neighborhood.
So real quick though, when's the last time you cried at wrestling?
Cried at wrestling?
Was there a moment that made you tear up? I know Johnny Christ don't cry, but
tear up, man. If I have, it's been many years. I mean,
think about that. Seriously, think about that, because I'm gonna try to remember too. It might be Shawn Michaels.
Maybe our top 3. Maybe next week we do our top 3 tear jerkers.
I love it
of wrestling.
Emotional moments of wrestling.
Let's do it, because I need to think about that. I could tell you the one time I know for sure I was crying when I was very young is when one of my older brothers finally convinced me that it's not the F. I won't use the F word that he did, but it is that it was a little bit staged, and that broke my heart. I think I was about 5 or 6 years old.
I can't wait now. All right, number one. What is your number one?
My number one comes to us from AEW Dynamite in the Young Bucks versus FTR.
Oh, we have 2 different ones. Yes.
That one, that tag team match, just front and back, just exciting pops over and over again. I mean, both those teams are good to go. Let's just say, like, in every match I see the Young Bucks, I get pops. Every time I see FTR, I get pops. And this rematch of them getting back together in a couple months. That's the first time they fought each other in a couple months. Right back to where they were. The chemistry between those 4 dudes in the ring, and what they can do, what they're all capable of, is I loved every moment of it. I was on the edge of my seat, cheering, and not necessarily for either team. I'm just going, this is fucking awesome. It's like, this is just rad wrestling, rad in-ring work. So to me, I had to, for this week, that's the one I'm going with.
Yes. A great match. Might have been one of the best tag team matches in the last couple of years. That's how, and it was on free TV. Right. I mean, it makes it even better. That should have been a pay-per-view main event match. But my number one moment, and that would have been one of my top threes if I didn't have two buddies just do two cool things this week. But my number one, Wheeler Yuta becoming part of the new alliance with William Regal, Moxley.
What are they calling that? The Black Boots,
Black Club Blood. I don't know.
Combat boot thing. Yeah. They need to fix it. They need to fix that name.
Beast. By the way, their
BCC shirt is good. Black. Yeah. You're right. BCC works.
I'm going to send you a picture of their shirt. It is amazing. It's almost like the NWO logo, but in blood. Ooh. So I'm going to have to show you a picture because that might be your next shirt buy.
Yeah, that's going to be. I can tell you right now, it's going to be.
Yeah,
I love all those guys in it too. Yeah. Regal, Danielson, Moxley, and now you're right.
Wheeler Yuta. I mean that match was a great match. I loved it. Listen, right now, nobody does it better than AEW in elevating young talent. There's still the old guys you're going to get over, and they're going to pay the bills and advertising and the namesake. But a guy like Wheeler Yuta on a roster like that shouldn't have any TV time has really worked his way in. And it was like from a few weeks ago when he reached out his hand and had it smacked away from William Regal to bleeding and then having it shaken and then putting the belt around his waist, the ROH, was it television title? I believe it is. Or
I think it is. Well, it's one of those. It's whatever.
One of the best moments because I love watching young talent get elevated, and especially young talent that, like I said, on a roster like that shouldn't be there. That's AEW has a stacked roster from top to bottom. People are fighting for television time, and here's a young guy that's fighting head and tails getting that television time.
And he's a great in-ring worker. They're putting together a good storyline for him. I agree with you. And it seems to be working out pretty well for him. I again, I think I've talked about this a couple of times on the show. I'm a big promo guy. I got to see him cut me a really good fucking promo. I want to see him work the mic like nobody else for me to put him up in that next echelon. You got Danny Garcia over with Jericho. He's under probably the best wings in the business for getting to. He should be taking every note from watching Chris Jericho on the mic as he can right now, as he starts to go into the next phase of his life too. But you're right. Like the AEW bringing up that young talent. I mean, shit.
It's phenomenal. All right, listen, that was our 3 from the week. I don't know. Follow us at _3_pod or something. We don't care.
Wow. We don't even know. That's how badass we are. We don't even know what our name is.
Listen, follow this guy over here, Drinks with Johnny, his podcast every week. It's phenomenal. Who do you have on this week?
This week coming up, I got Shane Told from the band Silverstein. Good friend of mine. We've done some Warped Tours together. He's got his own podcast as well, this Lead Singer Syndrome. He came over to the house, had some of my beer, my Drinks with Johnny IPA that I have on tap behind me. And we also shared some scotch and some real fun conversation.
Gosh, that's awesome. Wrestling perspective. We haven't even booked a guest this week, so I can't even promote it. But look, guys,
we'll still check it out.
Yeah.
Well, you got Petey Williams of last week's Raw on. So yeah, I mean that's always great.
Not anymore. He's WWE'd. He's
he's not on the perspective anymore.
You know what? Rest in peace, Petey. He's taking a nap right now, but he got WWE'd, so he can't no longer do podcasts.
I got you. I was wondering about that. Yeah, okay.
Although I've been trying to convince him to quit and come back to the podcast. Listen, Pete, give up your $100,000 a year job, come back and do the podcast for free. I think I almost have him convinced to do it.
Well, you must be very, very convincing then.
I am. All right, listen, he's going to play golf. I'm going to have drinks. That's this week's 3. Hey, Johnny, I'll see you next week, bud.
See you next week, brother.